Girls are all asking, are you in or are you out? And I think, oh man, what is this about? I mean, tonight you can't put me up on any shelf, 'cause I came here alone and I'm gonna leave by myself. I just wanna show you the way that I feel, and when I get tired you can take the wheel. To me what's more important is the person that I bring, not just getting to the same restaurant and eating the same thing.
I identify as queer, capital Q.
And what does that mean to you?
Well, queer, I feel like the shortest way to define what queer is has to do with a rejection of hetero and homonormativity, which is kind of a shame for being like the most concise definition that I can think of, because it implies that the queer identity hinges upon gay, straight, and lesbian identities to find its own centeredness.
I usually call myself queer, and I feel that I identify well with that because I'm attracted to any gender or sex. It just depends on the person and the connection that I have with them. A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people ask me what it means. A lot of people assume it means I'm gay. And really it just means that I'm fluid.
How do you identify your sexuality?
Bisexual.
And what does that mean to you?
It means liking men and liking women in the simplest terms. You know, being sexually attracted to and wanting to have relationships with both, or rather either men or women.
I think you're just one way or the other, unless you're really, I don't know. I guess people can't be that promiscuous and they want both.
I think the word bisexual or bi has a lot of different connotations in current society. A lot of people think it just means, especially if you're a girl, if you're a female, and you're bi, a lot of times people will think that just means you make out with other women when you're drunk at parties or clubs to get the attention of guys, which is really surprising how common that view on it is. So that's one spectrum of it, but I've also heard people say that bisexuality doesn't exist.
I guess it could be real, like people can be bisexual.
A lot of people make their deductions about bisexuality from, you know, where they're getting their information from media. So there's definitely been times where a lesbian woman didn't feel like I was serious or didn't trust my sexuality as bi, because they considered being bi as being bi-curious. But I think it's fair to say that I know what my sexuality is, and so there has been times where lesbians, you know, I've heard lesbians are not interested at all in a bisexual girl.
I would never date a bisexual person.
And why is that?
Because I want somebody that likes women. So they would only have their eyes on me, not maybe lose them to a guy or lose them to, yeah.
So it would feel different for you if you lost them to a guy than if you lost them to a girl?
Yes, there's no competition with a different sex.
And my question to them is, what does it matter if I leave you? It's not working. I'm leaving, period. Who cares who I'm going to date after that?
I've dated a lot of bisexual women in the past, and it seems like it's done just that. You know, they end up dating guys too, and
At the same time?
no, but I always have that eye, that wandering eye, and it was.
But you don't think that when you're dating a girl, she's also looking at other girls, ever?
Well, I'm sure they all do. I mean, we all do. We're all humans. Right?
There's a prevalent sense of queer phobia that's usually expressed as biphobia. Even, for example, Dan Savage wrote a column, I think last year, that told bisexual men to come out as gay. You know. And Dan Savage might be like one of the most vocal mainstream gay people who has a pen, but that doesn't speak for me. I think that one of the fallacies that's used to attack queerness is, you know, is an argument that, well, if you prefer like one to the other, or like you prefer like a certain sex or gender of someone else like so much more than the other, well, then that means blah 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 blah, and you're just like, and you're just this person, and you're just like gay or in denial, like you're straight or and in denial, that kind of stuff.
I like girls, I like boys, I don't have to make the choice.
If you like look at that word, even not for that long enough, like bisexual implies you're duplicitous or can't be trusted and that kind of thing. That, you know, the bi and bisexual disregards, you know, people who are trans, gender queer, in transition, gender neutral, you know. Yeah.
You are married, correct?
Yes, married. When I met my partner, he was not undergone any kind of transition, was living more as a butch-identified dyke. That was a little bit more of the sphere he was kind of rotating in, and then over the course of the time period our relationship has spanned, has transitioned more into a queer-identified trans or genderqueer trans guy.
And how did you identify pre-meeting your partner?
I actually identified as queer then. Pony's not the first trans person I've been with, so it was, while it's been interesting navigating how I've been seen by the outside world, I had really set up, I was pretty secure in my queer identity prior to meeting Pony. But what has been interesting is how people have seen me or identified me, because maybe when we first got together, we more presented to the world as two, you know, women or dykes, and now, and therefore I was gay or lesbian, and now over this sort of long transition, I'm almost 100% of the time read as straight, like heterosexual, you know, maybe straight girl. So that's been a more interesting kind of progression. What happens if they can't put someone into a box? And generally the reaction is of fear and of anger, because that's something that we're trained to do, to gender people immediately. And when that doesn't happen, it can be really scary. And so I recognize that sometimes it's a little bit less of a safe place to be in, to live in the middle. I don't know that I've ever noticed being fulfilled differently in each way based on the gender of my partner. I think that the best relationships I've been in are fulfilling in multiple dimensions.
Like spiritually and emotionally, I feel more connected to women. But sex is sex.
Queer is always the only thing that really, I feel like, allows me to not apologize for being attracted to a member of one gender or another, or anything in the middle.
I think if people were able to like open up a little bit more, we'd all realize that we're a little bit more fluid than we think.
I like to think of it as queer world, and that queer world, you know, queer world is not going to reject anyone, you know. That queer world is better, stronger, and healthier for the more people who it accepts.
Free. Everybody come together. Free. Everybody get together.